Thank you for joining our presentation, Mining Syllabi for IL Gold, Best Practices for Text Mining Institutional Documents to Inform Assessment and Strategic Planning for Libraries and Information Literacy. I'm Teresa MacGregor, Director of the Library at Carnegie Mellon University in Qatar, and I'm joined by my colleague, Alicia Salaz, Associate Dean for Research and Academic Services at our main campus in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. All right, so a little bit about our context. Carnegie Mellon doesn't really have a formal information literacy strategy. Obviously, we do lots of information literacy instruction, but there really isn't a formal strategy as of yet. In Qatar, we used to have a required information literacy course for incoming freshmen. For a variety of reasons, that was canceled in 2016. For both campuses, all incoming students have a mandatory online course that's mostly about tech skills, but there is one module on basic library skills, mostly just how to use the library catalog. So nothing to the level really of information literacy. Each semester, librarians visit courses on invitation from faculty. We do our own independent workshops. So there's a lot going on. And there's signs of hope. Earlier this year, the university convened a committee on information literacy and data literacy as core competencies. So hopefully that will give us a more formal strategy going forward. In the interim, though, we still need to understand how students are learning information literacy skills across the curriculum, especially at the Qatar campus, in their disciplinary courses, in their general education courses. And when we have that information, we'll be better positioned to partner with particular instructors on integrating information literacy instruction into their courses. And of course, if there's any low-hanging fruit opportunities that we can capitalize on for the short term, it would be great to know that as well. So how we chose to address those questions was to do a syllabus review. So we looked at course syllabi specifically for library terminology, reference to the library itself or to different library databases and sources, references to citations. And we also looked to see if the syllabi had learning objectives, descriptions of research assignments, and academic integrity statements, because those often also inform information literacy. Of course, syllabus reviews aren't new. People have been doing them for a long time. In library science, the first published syllabus study was in 1982. It wasn't about information literacy instruction, but rather about library usage. But there's been a lot of syllabus studies on IL published in the intervening years. There's a great review article published last year by Butler and Calgano that kind of reviews all of the recent information literacy syllabi studies that have been published. And their results kind of coincide with what we want to do, right? They talk about using the syllabi to increase collaboration with faculty, to meet student information needs. And they also said you can use syllabi to identify discipline-specific information literacy concepts. And all of this is made easier because of the introduction recently of department and institutional repositories of syllabi. At Carnegie Mellon, ours was created specifically to assist students to help them choose their courses at registration so they could learn more about their courses. Other uses, of course, are just as an archive. You can kind of historically see the changes in a curriculum over time. And these repositories support the accreditation process. They're the evidence that accreditors look at to judge a particular program. The bottom line is you don't have to go knocking on every instructor's door, begging them to send you their syllabi. Check your institution, check your department. They probably have a syllabus registry that you can use to download the relevant information.
Thanks. This is Alicia joining you. We used a particular approach to this project using a particular qualitative analytics software called NVivo. There are a number of tools and approaches that you could use to mine text out of a syllabi corpus. Some alternatives to NVivo include atlas.ti or deduce, and these tools can help convert unstructured text into data, achieve thematic analysis of the content, use techniques to identify patterns and themes, and to generate graphs and data visualizations. So I'll tell you a little about what we found applying the NVivo tool here to this corpus. Our initial corpus included syllabi from several semesters, 4 different semesters in total. We removed duplicate syllabi for courses that were repeated, and our deduped total corpus included 155 syllabi. From that corpus, we were able to generate some visualizations like word clouds that give an impression, an initial impression of the content of the corpus. We were able, next slide, please. We were able to generate also some terminology clusters. These give a better impression of where certain vocabulary appears close together in the context of the documents and can give an impression of basically a clearer idea of the structure of the content. Next slide. The most useful output from this data analysis, in our view, was the word frequencies and the appearance of particular terms in the corpus. So in this initial analysis, we found that 30 syllabi out of those 155 mentioned the library or libraries. None of them mentioned a librarian. One mentioned information literacy. And then we also noticed some varying frequency related to citation styles, APA, Harvard, Chicago, and MLA. And so this was more instructive in terms of our next steps.
And one of those next steps was the recognition that the library was mentioned so infrequently and librarians not at all. So this seemed to be one of those low-hanging fruit opportunities. So what I did right away, starting in summer 2020, was draft what I would call boilerplate language, just a short paragraph that instructors could copy and paste into their syllabi. And our associate dean for academics, at the start of every semester, she sends in a couple of emails with similar boilerplate for disabilities and accommodations, for health and wellness. So when she sends her email, I followed up really quick with my email with the information about the library. And anecdotally, this worked because even in summer 2020, we had at least one instructor take our boilerplate and insert it verbatim into her syllabus. This is a course for incoming sophomores, rising sophomores. And you can see at the bottom of the second page, she's included the library in her syllabus.
So we would have stopped there if this was ECIL 2020. Clearly, we had a delay and a postponement, and that enabled us to take some time to gather additional data. So through spring, fall of 2020 and spring of 2021, we collected more syllabi to do a second round of analysis on this project, and ended up with, even though there's one semester less here than in the first round, we have almost the same number of syllabi, 150 in our second round of analysis. I think that's because our faculty were growing more compliant over time with actually depositing their syllabi. So on this second round of analysis, we generated some of the same outputs, an impression, a visualization with a word cloud. Next slide. Again, some terminology clusters that give us an impression of the content. But again, most usefully, the terminology frequency. And I was interested and will point out that the words video and Zoom made it into our top 100 most frequent words in the corpus this time. So that tells you a little something about what happened between round 1 and round 2. Next slide. Impactfully, delightfully, we also discovered that in the second round of analysis, after pushing out that boilerplate language, 23 of our syllabi in this new corpus of 150 actually feature the word librarian. And there's also an increase in the number that mention the library or libraries. Again, here we have some data on which citation styles are the most frequently used.
So in addition to doing more analysis because of the pandemic, we had another opportunity, which is like most everyone, Qatar went into lockdown in late March 2020, and I needed to provide work from home projects for my library staff. And one of the first things I thought of was, oh, they can do a manual review of the syllabi. So 3 of our library assistants manually reviewed all of the downloaded syllabi. We started the project with an inter-rater reliability test. So I did a review of a set of the syllabi, and then each of the library assistants reviewed that same set of syllabi. We came together, we looked where we agreed, where we disagreed, we kind of debated and came to some consensus on what we were looking for in these results. Throughout the course of the project, they communicated with me and with each other so that we were always on the same page with the review. I didn't have them actually clock their time, but the entire process took several weeks across several months. So it was quite time consuming. And they were instructed to look for the same things that In Vivo was looking for: references to the library itself, or specific library resources, citations and citation styles, and whether or not certain aspects of the syllabi, learning objectives, assignment details, and academic integrity were at least mentioned in the documents. The results, so they reviewed 322 syllabi across that entire spectrum of dates. They recognized 104 syllabi, so about 32% that mentioned library or librarians. Most of those came from arts and sciences courses. The next most frequent came from business courses. That makes sense because we already know those are writing intensive courses. About almost half mentioned some kind of citation or citation style, and the most frequently mentioned style was APA. And a whopping 85% of the syllabi mentioned academic integrity. And I'll note that on main campus, we have a Center for Teaching Excellence. They do consultations on syllabus development, and they have a checklist for what to put in your syllabus. And that includes a recommendation to put a statement on academic integrity, and they include sample statements on academic integrity. The manual review versus in vivo, I was pleasantly surprised to see that the in vivo results and the manual results had the exact same number of syllabi that mentioned library and librarians. To me, that gave me confidence that the two reviews were producing similar results. Likewise, citations and citation styles were mentioned frequently. They weren't quite one-to-one, but APA was the most referenced citation style in both reviews. So what I would say is, comparing those two methodologies, either or both are useful. So obviously manual review is time consuming. If you don't have the resources for that, you can't do it. But if you do, it produces good results and you get eyeballs on the content. So you actually get a lot of good anecdotal evidence for what you're seeing in the results. With In Vivo or a similar text mining app, it's obviously much faster, but there may be costs involved, like actual monetary costs. And some of those analyses may be less than useful. The word clouds were fun, but they didn't necessarily tell us very much. But if you can do one of these, that's great. If you can do both of these, even better. So our next steps, we'll definitely continue to provide the boilerplate copy-paste statements for syllabi. We update them each semester so that they're fresh, and we include new information, new developments. And I definitely think we need to work with our main campus Center for Teaching and Excellence to get the library added to their syllabus checklist. That's bigger than just the Qatar campus, but I think that would raise the visibility of the library and library services in syllabi across the institution. We already do lots of APA citation workshops and in-class sessions, but it would make sense for us to reach out to those specific instructors who we know are recommending APA to make sure that they know about our expertise, the support services that we can offer, and then to use that as a touch point to promote additional library services such as citation management tools and research assistance. For you all, we would highly recommend Syllabi as a rich resource of information. Check at your university. There's probably a registry of some sort, and that will give you easy access. Even if you don't have text mining tools, you can do a manual review. And in this world of still hybrid, remote, and on-site work, manual review of Syllabi makes a great work from home project. If you can get your hands on text mining and data analysis tools, definitely use them. They always yield something. They're especially good at identifying strong areas of weakness or opportunities like we found with the boilerplate language. They give you good visualizations that can be nice kind of starting points for a conversation. And they're super easy to repeat. So just like we did, you can do an initial analysis, take action, and then do a subsequent analysis to see if that action had an impact. So that's a really excellent benefit of the software. Here are our references. The very first article there is the Butler and Calgano review article. So if you're going to start doing some research on syllabus and syllabus reviews, I would definitely consult that article first.
Thank you. We were so pleased to have the opportunity to share our experience and approach here with you today. Hope it proves useful. Thank you for your time, and please reach out with any questions.
Thank you.